What is the best game of 2011?
Portal 2, Elder Scrolls 5, Batman Arkham City, Deus Ex Human
But what
Revolution.
about Mario 3D Land? During late 2000s and early 2010s, the Mario franchise was hitting one of its peaks when it came to its platforming. Super Mario Galaxy was a game that took what made Mario 64 so memorable and started something that completely changed the 3D Mario games. Let's be real, when you can do something like this, you kinda already sold me on this game as a kid. It had new boss fights that felt impactful and made you addicted to its gameplay, with its high-speed levels and its joyful music. It was a game that you could stay idle for a bit and just enjoy its scenery as well. It was the 3D Mario game of my childhood. While on the other side of the Mario platforming coin, we had New Super Mario Bros. For Nintendo Wii and DS. They both were different but followed the new 2D Mario style. These games took elements of previous Mario titles but became more enjoyable from a casual fan's perspective, while still having something for those hardcore Nintendo fans to chase. During 2010, Miyamoto announced that there were both a 2D and a 3D World game in development. Obviously, the new 2D World followed the normal New Super Mario Bros. Formula, but the 3D World one was what made people start guessing. It was confirmed later on March 2nd, 2011, that the development team that made the series Super Mario Galaxy was working on a brand new Mario game for Nintendo 3DS, and then eventually these screenshots were shown off at a game developers conference in 2011. This game showed a lot of similarities to Mario 64 with that, I guess, Super Mario Galaxy level design. At E3 2011, Super Mario 3D Land's first trailer dropped, and the rest was history. The initial feedback from the game from fans was that, yep, that's Mario 64 alright, but it was different. See, people enjoyed the fact that it took everything people loved from 2D Mario games and mixed it with a 3D style that people adored. Nintendo was doing this weird thing during this time and really wanted you to feel some sort of nostalgia when it came to its games. And well, would you look at that? That tail at the end of the O was what made Mario fans overjoyed. Let's fucking go! The power-up that was hinted at was originally created for Super Mario Bros. 3. The best thing about it was that you could fly up and up and up and truly made Super Mario Bros. 3 way more fun than it needed to be. You could also become a statue, which is something I honestly didn't know for 20 years of my life. But however, when this returning power-up was shown off at E3, it was different. The Tanuki suit was its new name and was totally a downgrade from its predecessor, but I'm glad it was able to come back in some sort of new form. See, the issue with the Tanuki suit was the fact that it doesn't go up and up, it instead just hovers up in the air for a little bit, and it's a downgrade in all ways. What the man. Come holiday 2011, and Super Mario 3D Land was released to the masses. This game not only saved the Nintendo 3DS from being this really underselling console and created a brand new experience for any type of fan. It made people go out there and buy this console just for this game, and even for any games that came out in the future. I mean, there was a lot hinted at E3 the previous year. This game was refreshing to so many people that had Mario fatigue, and well, can you really blame them? At this point, people were getting tired of getting a new Super Mario Bros. Every year. Even playing this game nowadays, I still find myself blown away by what Nintendo EAD did. It's crazy how little the 3DS allowed developers to do with it, with how amazing this game came out. Mario 3D Land wasn't going to be the next Mario 64 or Mario Galaxy, but rather a stepping stone into a different subsection of Mario games to enjoy. It's a game that I could take anywhere and play while listening to one of the best soundtracks that Nintendo has ever created, and rage harder than a Smash Brothers player because god, this camera makes me mad. But hey, this game is absolutely stunning and has the stylistic approach that holds up well today. So with that being said, let's put our 3D glasses on and burn our retinas out and play this game like our Lord and Savior intended us to do. When playing this game, I experimented with the 3D feature like any sane person would. Oddly enough, I was quite pleased with the 3D in this game. Most of the time I turned it on during the big moments and postcards, but by far my favorite experience with the 3D was the scenery. I loved watching the snow fall on the screen, or maybe the bubbles pop up, or even when the lava sparks just came up and said hi to me. It's just crazy to me how much detail was put into the 3D side of this game, because the 3DS was only out for about a year now. There were plenty of stages where these gimmicks were shown off, and most of the stages in the game made sure you knew to trial this 3D feature. See that little thing right there at the bottom of your screen? Yeah, that's God telling you to get a new hobby. The 3D aspect of this game was supposed to make things stand out and be more clear from a different perspective, but most of the time I felt really frustrated trying to use it. I found myself giving up on the 3D feature halfway through certain levels just because at a certain point the 3D just doesn't work. I ended up just going back to the 2D, and well, when you look at that, it was 10 times easier. It also just doesn't help that the camera is really bad in this game. I felt like I was supposed to see things I just couldn't because the camera was just stuck in the wrong spot. And adding 3D to it, it just didn't help. But if you used your brain and just turned off that 3D feature, anyone could play this game. Hell, even my dog can use it, because apparently anyone under 7 can't use the 3D feature or the feds will be at your door. The way Super Mario 3D Land plays is like any other new Super Mario Bros. Game. You have a hub world of sorts where you just hit the joystick to the right and move level by level. My favorite part of this is seeing all these stages before you hop into them. Each stage has special coins you can pick up to unlock that super secret Easter egg at the end of the game. You can sometimes spot these coins while using the binocular spots around certain levels, and well, look at that guy, he's so happy. The binoculars use gyro controls and had me like this most of the time, but hey, if it made you look around the levels and showed off its beauty, that's worth it to me. Oddly enough, these coins are essential to progressing through this game as well. Most of the time, these end up getting handed out like candy, but other times, you really gotta hunt for them, which is great. It adds that balance that just bridges casuals and really hardcore fans. Design choices like that just makes people want to chase after those stars instead of it being an afterthought. The gameplay stays simplistic. I mean, it's Mario. Do you expect Madden NFL football for the 3DS? The platforming ranges from jumping from platform to platform while dealing with a little Goomba or Koopa here and there. But this game actually introduces a lot new power-ups like the propeller box. It was an item that was integral to a few stages, and while it wasn't that bad to use, I actually enjoyed looking like I was on a perk 30 and gliding through the air and maximizing my jumps by ground pounding on mushrooms before finishing the level. This was a brand new item for 3D Land and one that didn't make me upset for once. While on the other hand, the boomerang flower had so much potential to be something so amazing. Listen, I love this idea for a power-up, but it felt so lackluster when comparing it to the Tanuki suit. To be honest, most stages were just easier and utilized the suit more than the boomerang. It was a nice power-up that helped every once in a while because you couldn't get to certain star coins without it, but hey, the consistency of the Tanuki suit was just so much better. The Tanuki suit made everything easier. You could wag your little tail to destroy these blocks or enemies and glide across the sky like how Mario should always be. The power-up was integral to so many stages, like for example, one of my favorites by far is World 8-1. In this stage, you spawn on top of a huge dry bones platform that kinda makes you feel bad for the little dude. The stage felt like a roller coaster, and to make sure you could grab all the coins, you needed the Tanuki suit, because if you didn't, you would just constantly die. But the joy of World 8-1 doesn't come from the power-up, rather it being one of the best stages in the game. It was so memorable to me just because it felt different from the rest. The issue with Mario 3D Land is the fact that a lot of the levels just feel generic and similar, but then I start to realize this was Nintendo's first try at trying to do something like this ever, so can I really fault them for that? I think there were so many more stages to enjoy that yes, are decent, but still hold up today. By far, the levels I had the most fun with were the water ones as well. I loved just swimming around in the water as Mario and just taking in how beautiful the game looked. These stages made me realize why I love this game. They are just pretty, and when you add some enjoyable platforming to it and the music, it's just perfect to me. This game also had tight ropes in some of its levels, and god, even it made me go slower a little bit. I really like how most of these are created. It made me just enjoy the game even more. It makes you have patience and makes you realize that not everything has to be go go go, but rather enjoy the game for what it is. Maybe it's just me, but when I play these types of Mario games, I always really want to go really fast and to get to that end of the level so I could finally get to that ship at the end of each world. But when you have platforming elements like this, you just can't ignore them. But not everything can be so perfect, and the boss fights in this game were honestly so boring. Like I said earlier, Nintendo was trying to feed on that nostalgia of Super Mario 3, and well, the boss fights from that game and the ships return. It's kind of boring. Bowser and Boom Boom returns from the previous series like I said, but then you have some newcomers like Pom Pom, Dry Bowser, and even the Tanuki version of Bowser. This game likes to follow Mario 3's eras of fights, and you want to avoid the Bowser as he shoots fireballs at you, stomps on you, or even wags his little creepy tail. You want to run across and hit that big button to destroy the bridge underneath you. Boom Boom, you just jump on his head, and same with Pom Pom. But hey, at least Pom Pom throws boomerangs, right? That's kinda cool. I think what really would have made this game stand out is having bosses like Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. These games had so many amazing boss fights that just felt so rewarding to finish. Those fights felt more complex, while these just felt too simplistic for my liking. I really wanted to enjoy each of the fights in Super Mario 3D Land, but at the end of it, I just felt empty-handed, like, that's it? That's all you're giving me? But hey, it was the first time trying this type of style out, and I know the future games does boss fights so much better. After the first few worlds, most stages felt different and unique from each world in that stage. One thing I loved about Super Mario 3 was the fact that each world had its theme, but in Mario 3D Land, they kind of tossed that idea out the window and make each stage unique instead. You could be crossing a bridge, trying to make sure you're not getting hit by Cheep Cheeps, to being in a pyramid and maneuvering around Pokies, and then being in the middle of a haunted mansion that's constantly changing your position. I like this because it adds that's something different than going through the same stage over and over. And oh, I almost forgot, you can actually unlock Luigi at the end of the game, which is kind of cool, but by the time you unlock him, you kind of just already finished the game and are probably done with it. To me, the extra bonuses just are not worth it unless you're a really hardcore fan of the series. But hey, this game introduced a lot of new enemies, but by far my favorite is this little dude. God, you are so cute, but I still want to end your family bloodline. The game designers did this thing where sometimes little f***ers like these absolutely tilt me off the face of the planet. It's already hard enough dodging these things and how bad some of the camera angles are in this game, and god, it was just too much. I know they returned from Super Mario Bros. 3, but come on, man, I hate these little f***ers. But lucky for people that are horrible at some levels, you can get an infinite Tanuki suit, which is pretty cool, and this wing power up that literally brings you straight to the flag. It kind of ruins the whole essence of the game, but honestly, if you're a kid and you're 3 or 5, which you shouldn't be playing this game on 3D by the way, but if you're young enough like that and you just can't get through a stage, you could do this instead. And oddly enough, you could do this on the last level of the game, which is kind of crazy to me. Overall, the team at Nintendo Tokyo EAD really did an amazing job with this game. Of course, I do have my issues, but if anyone ever asked me for a 3DS recommendation, Super Mario 3D Land would be at the top of that list. It's everything that the 3DS wants you to experience, and while it being really annoying at times, I learned to love it. Am I weird for liking this game? Maybe there's something wrong with me. I love the minute details they put into this game, and god, the soundtrack was amazing. I love how they brought back classic enemies to the game that haven't been seen in a long time, like the Monty Moles that throw wrenches at you. I appreciate that Tokyo EAD took that extra time out and tried making a game for new fans of the series and longtime supporters. It was a new style to the franchise and one I really appreciate. Mario 3D Land is such a super underrated game that kind of becomes a sort of middle child and doesn't seem like it gets enough love that people should be giving it. This game isn't the best thing out there, yeah, but it's definitely above average. That is why Super Mario 3D Land is amazing.
What about Madden Football for the 3DS?
What the f*** is wrong with you?